currently, so let's see which way it goes. Olaf and Akaadian banned away by Echo Fox. They will not let ReignOver onto that Viking.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually that they did ban the Akaadian this early. I did talk about how I thought it's a good pick into the Corki, so maybe they just want to go with that once again in the mid lane.
Zach banned away by Liquid. You know, your red side, you ban Zach. It's kind of just one of those rules in nature. As Kennen is banned away by them as well. It worked really well in game number 2. Ooh. Didn't work really well when it wasn't banned in game number 1. And Fox will remove Galio from the table. Not willing to have to play against that again.
Yeah, but with Kennen and Zach banned, it means Caitlyn and LeBlanc have to be chosen between, which means Keith gets Caitlyn if they choose to first pick it.
You would almost think that that's guaranteed. Caitlyn is at such a ridiculous state in the current meta. She's so strong. She wins the lane. She pushes down turrets. Her siege is ridiculous. Her damage is ridiculous. Her scaling is up there. Everything is just, yeah, pretty good champ.
Pretty good.
Above average champeroni.
Yeah. Team Liquid needs an answer now. Do they try and take over in the early game? We get to see the first Elise from ReignOver, even though Rek'Sai has been up. Rek'Sai has not had the best luck in this series. Something about building AD. In my opinion, they're just building full tank and then dying.
Yeah. I mean, we saw last game, even though he was tanky, he had a Cinderhulk and a Knight's Vow, but he still just died.
Still melt because you're not fighting until people have a billion items.
Yeah. Well, we did say at the very start of the series, though, that this was a popular pick, the Elise jungle, for both these guys. ReignOver and Akaadian, they both like to play it. And this time it's going to be ReignOver getting to scurry around the jungle as the Spider Queen. Tahm Kench locked in on the side of Echo Fox to help keep that Caitlyn safe. That Caitlyn was hard to kill behind a line of traps. Wait until you get to her and Tahm Kench saves her.
And that Tahm Kench right on top. I think that's a decent pick, although I do feel like if they're going to be going with Corki, the Braum could have been just as good, if not better, since you have double marksman, stuns, increase your engage range more than the Tahm Kench. Still denies the Tahm Kench from Team Liquid's side.
Echo Fox really likes this Corki pick. Froggen is very fond of this champion. He's played it both games so far. Going to play it again here in game number 3. We mentioned the comically high damage in game number 2 and how it is sort of justified and explained.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was the one person who was actually holding his ground in game number 2.
He really was. And is one of the reasons the game stalled out for so long. It'd be fun watching him go up against Viktor, who was kind of the go-to pick against the past iteration of the double marksman composition, which was Lucian mid with X in the bot lane. You still kind of do a lot of the same things against Corki mid, although Corki has many more tools to hit you from outside the Q auto attack range, which Viktor generally uses to one-shot Lucian in the late game. So I think the Viktor is fine in this matchup. I just don't expect him to dominate the Corki in any way.
All right, 80 carries and mids picked by both sides. A difference, though, in the fact that support was picked by Fox, jungle picked by Liquid, so we'll have to see how that changes up the second part of the bans here. Gragas banned away by Liquid, which is actually a double power ban, because that could be a top lane pick, that could be a jungle pick, and it's not going to be an Echo Fox pick this game. Yeah. Fresh banned out by Fox, targeting towards Matt, respecting what he was able to do in the previous game. He's one of the reasons why Piglet was able to be 7-0. Shut that down.
Yeah, and going hard on the jungle bans as well with the Rek'Sai on top of it. It would push him towards, you would think, something like Kha'Zix, but that's not the style that I feel like Echo Fox wants with this team composition. I mean, if they wanted to be able to recreate the Game 1 success, you want a jungler who will build Knight's Vow and a supporter who will build Knight's Vow, and then a top laner who split pushes, which would be like a Jason and a Gragas. And when that off the table, he's going with Lee Sin, which you can still do some of that stuff on. It is still an early aggression champion, but it does switch the style from Echo Fox a little bit.
By the way, you can see the stat on your screen there about the Bard locked in for Team Liquid. We kind of joked a little bit about Rek'Sai's hilariously low win rate. Bard is a monster.
Yeah, hilariously high win rate. 12-2. A lot of the best supports in the NA LCS are the ones that play Bard, right? Smoothie's Bard is great. Alphamu's Bard is great. Matt's Bard is what he used to be known with, although the interesting thing in the past, talking with the old Team Liquid coaching staff back when Matt was a rookie, is even though Bard was his best champion, they were relying on him a lot to shot call back then. And whenever he played Bard, he would not be able to shot call. Because the champion, you're thinking about so many other things like where you can land your portals and just the difficulty of his unique skill set. So now that he's kind of in this sub position, where he's coming in as a wild card, technically the team has other shot calling things in place. ReignOver and Piglet being the main callers on this team. So I like it a lot more now for Matt than I did in the past.
The top lanes for this match, this final game in this match have been decided now, as Echo Fox is going to be going with Rumble up there to provide some more damage to the team. This team has so much damage capability, by the way. Echo Fox just loads the damage on, as Team Liquid will take Gnar up there to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams, I think, load the damage on. There's not that too many tanks plus a random Kalista to stack up Rens and kill people like there may have been in Game 2. I think just stylistically, this is the closest draft we've had of the 3 games, because we got to see what Echo Fox had success with. We got to see Team Liquid's answer to that. And now we have Echo Fox's answer to Team Liquid's answer, which is exactly what you want in a best of 3. Strategic evolution throughout the series.
And in the final game, we get to see 2 early game focused playmaker junglers going head to head. ReignOver has had a good game. Akaadian's had a good game. Who's going to have a second good game and put the capstone on this one? Say, look, this is our series. We're walking away. We're climbing up in the standings at the end of week 5. Because after this, even though neither one of these teams is going to Rift Rivals, you've got a break.
Yeah.
Before we head into more LCS action in the following week. Looking on your camera shot right there. They might not be in the LCS right now, but they're at the LCS. Karth is surprised, making an appearance.
And July 4th is just a few days away. Happy Canada Day today once again. It's the July 4th of Canada.
Celebrate everybody's holiday.
Yeah. It's disturbingly close to July 4th. You often get them confused, but definitely different days.
Yeah.
Similarly themed celebrations, surprisingly. Fireworks and food and drink.
One of these teams is going to be setting up some fireworks of their own after this game. The other team not going to feel so jubilant, but nothing too interesting at level 1 here. Looper's even a little bit late getting out of the starting platform, taking his sweet time walking up there towards top side. Dorian's shield for multiple people starting off. We know how effective that is at allowing people to have a safe laning phase. And Lourlo on the Gnar, even picking that one up, even though Gnar's a traditional lane bully.
Also, interesting to note, we're on patch 7.12. Gnar has been buffed in patch 7.13. I always find that, I mean, yes, Gnar was creeping back into the meta before the buffs. We saw a very sparse use of him. Whenever a patch comes out to the live servers, when a champion is expected to become meta, you will then more likely see it on the previous patch, just because people have picked up the champion again and realized, oh, this was good the whole time. Yeah. And I think that's actually kind of what's happening with Gnar here this week. We're seeing more Gnar in the NA LCS this week than we have all split, even though he's exactly the same as he was the whole year. So, especially with the way teams practice, they're generally only going to want to put practice hours into things that have obvious payoffs. So they're not likely to retry a champion unless they're more assured that it's going to be good when they finish practicing it.
Solid leash for ReignOver here on the bottom side. Starting with his own blue buff. Got to make sure he has plenty of mana to keep going through the jungle. No super leash on the side of Echo Fox for Akaadian this time around. He'll just be starting off at his own Raptor camp. Now he's heading towards the river. Going to be looking for GoldenGlue very early. Ghost is used. GoldenGlue trying to escape here. Does not use the flash because he knows he doesn't need to. Holds that summoner spell and escapes, but he's pretty worse for wear.
Yeah, he's going to have to burn both of his health potions really early on to get his health back up, but interesting choice to save the flash, at least for a repeat gank.
That was a really nice move by Akaadian, too. Getting in there early. You never expect the Lee Sin to just be waiting right there, only do Raptors, immediately go for mid, but he saw the opportunity and he jumped on it.
Yeah, well, especially I think there's another layer to it. When Echo Fox has Caitlyn, they're almost never going to do the long leash because it's so important that they bully the lane and push into turret as quickly as possible. When you do the super leash, you generally lose at least 1 to 2 minions of experience, and the other team gets to push on you. So, knowing that Caitlyn was shown bot lane, GoldenGlue then says, no way Akaadian's going to be doing a quick gank because he didn't get a leash. Therefore, he comes early anyway and tries to catch him off guard. We'll see if ReignOver can punish, though.
Playing the mind games. Akaadian coming around, looking potentially for ReignOver here. Baby Spiderlings could block that Sonic Wave. They do indeed. Akaadian jumps in, and without that main damage tool, he's now got to retreat. ReignOver's got the health edge. Froggen waiting right there. Remember, the GoldenGlue still does have flash if this 2v2 breaks out. Akaadian not coming out with the result he wanted.
Yeah, that's actually potentially hurtful if ReignOver decides to help with the invade. Lourlo even roamed down to join in on that fight. Looks like ReignOver's going to do the safe thing, though, and just farm his Krugs rather than try and steal blue. He could have gone for it. I mean, there's no way Akaadian's going straight for his blue. Just doesn't want to do anything too risky in the early game, it looks like.
When you are dueling against an Elise as a champion like Lee Sin, who has a one-target skill shot like the Sonic Wave, that's one of your main damaging tools, those little spiderlings can actually put a real damper on your plans. Yeah,
very difficult to weave the Sonic Wave through that often. You can see the harass, though, coming out from the Caitlyn and Tahm.
I mean, there's a reason the Caitlyn's banned away so frequently, right? Strong in the early game, strong in the mid game, strong in the late game. The laning phase can be very difficult to deal with for a lot of champions, even for a player like Piglet, who's very mechanically talented. Playing a mechanically intense champion like Kalista, you can't really outplay the fact that Caitlyn just has more range than you and does better than you in the laning phase. It's going to be a bit of a rough time for him here early.
Especially with headshots, giving you pretty good value in extended trades, but when you're 3v2, you have a decent chance. Here's ReignOver.
Uh-oh, KonKwon comes out, nice flash away from Gate, but now he's caught on the wrong side of the wall, and first blood goes over the Piglet.
Good flash until you consider that he didn't have a plan after the flash.
Yep.
He flashed the Cocoon, and then what? You're still next to them, and it's still a 3v2, so I'm going to give him a C- for the directionality of his flash there for Gate.
That was a really cool play until it wasn't cool anymore.
Yeah, like, ooh, we flashed the Cocoon. Such mechanics.
And then it's like, wait a second. Uh-oh.
Yeah, mainly though, ReignOver going for the mobility boots gets down here so fast, really faster than EchoFox would have expected. Loops all the way around the back. No wards, also a bit of a flaw for EchoFox if they're going to be pushing up right here. And then kind of watch Gate. Okay. They're still going to get you.
Unlucky, man. At least he got away from the initial Cocoon. CS lead for Froggen in mid lane. In other news, grass is green, sky is blue. Pretty much what you would expect from him at this point in time. Always going to be relevant on that Corki. Meanwhile, GoldenGlue, the trouble on the Viktor, I always like to bring this up whenever we see Viktor played these days because the thing that knocked him out of the meta previously was those price increases to his Hex Core early on. He really wants to hit those spots where you can hit the two-part laser, start clearing out the waves instantly, but it's really hard to get that without having to make a smaller bite first. And over mid lane, looking for Froggen, gets a Spider Bite with a Thunderlords, but can't go for the kill.
Yeah, Froggen was probably wanting to stick around for a little bit longer. He's going to be forced into a recall right now. So I like that gank out of ReignOver. We'll buy GoldenGlue a little bit of time, too. I don't think GoldenGlue's... well, GoldenGlue actually does have enough gold to get it now, if he wants. It's 1,250 gold for the first upgrade on the Hex Core. Oftentimes, you want to get that with a Control Ward and Boots, so you would need about 300 more, and that's why he's just making sure he shoves in that wave.
Yep.
I actually think that play is totally acceptable. GoldenGlue's not trying to all-in Froggen now, and it also allows him to get to that wave clear pattern he so desperately wants.
The one cost for that, though, could be if Akaadian looks at Froggen and says, hey, that guy has no ulti, let's try to make a crazy play on him. There's always that window of opportunity.
Right. It means ReignOver doesn't want to engage in 2v2s in the mid lane. Let's see if they're going for it. Look at where Rumble is, actually. Looper. Ooh, they may want this.
This is another thing you can do. Seeing that the enemy mid laner expended his ulti like that, they're saying, look, let's move up. Let's force maybe a 3v3 in the enemy jungle. If they come, what are they going to do? Chaos Storm us? I don't think so.
They don't have it.
Nope. You can't do it. He might as well be level 5. Doesn't have the ability. ReignOver's saying, nope, you go in my jungle, I'm going in your jungle, clear out some control wards, and just hang around. Maybe he can find something else bot, but I would hope that EchoFox learned their lesson from last time.
Yeah, he's spending so much time just trying to get position for these ganks. Meanwhile, Akaadian is farming up a fair bit. Oof.
Ooh, Keith. You take advantage of by Piglet down here, because Gate was off for a moment, and Piglet and Matt saw their chance to jump on that, quite literally, for Kalista. As Akaadian moves back towards his own red buff, ReignOver lying in wait, sitting on top of the control ward, but immediately starts the red buff off, making sure to drag it into that brush.
All right, smart move by ReignOver, but potentially dicey as GoldenGlue is roaming down, still without that Chaos Storm. Gonna get ReignOver a solid level 6, though.
Being level 6, of course, for Elise, that's not as big of a deal as it is for a lot of other champions. Doesn't really give you that big playmaking enabler like it would for someone like Lee Sin. Dragon's Rage now up and running on Akaadian. Flash also available. This is where you really look at the Lee to make some kind of a move. Akaadian needs to get involved.
Yeah, level 6, double longsword, totally a combat effective build right now. But do feel like Team Liquid has control of the bottom lane despite not having the CS lead. It's allowed ReignOver to get some good jungle invades off.
Yeah, CS is actually a problem for Liquid this game. Not just in the mid lane like it has been in the previous matches, but losing bottom because Keith has the Caitlyn. The jungle, Akaadian's farming up a bit better than ReignOver, but jungle CS is deceptive because the differences in the counts in the camps fluctuate so heavily. But despite the fact that Liquid got the first blood, and it was an assisted first blood, The gold's still even.
Yeah. So that's what Echo Fox would want, especially since they just want to hit the items and start seeding down turrets. But just more people visiting mid lane. Froggen's like, what are you doing, Gnar?
Yep. Froggen just decides to make a package delivery straight into the jungle, getting himself out of there. Thinking about maybe backing up, going back to base. He does have nearly 1,200 gold, so he'll pick himself up some components if he does, but not too worried about it just yet.
Ends up canceling his recall because there's a juicy wave sitting there. Trying to maintain his CS lead, but really not getting as much help as normal. He got that very early gank by Akaadian, and GoldenGlue was able to withstand that. Since then, everyone has spent a visit to Froggen.
And that's one thing that happens to you when you're one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people trying to focus you. That's probably one reason why Echo Fox makes sure they give him as many resources as possible, because they know everyone else is trying to deny those resources every single chance they get. Meanwhile, Looper and Lourlo, 79 to 75, close contest between these two, and both Gnar and Rumble can do so much in mid-game fights that either one of these guys could have such a huge impact in the way this game ends up playing out. And Looper, I mean, starting off in game number 1, dominating the game, huge performance. Game number 2, borderline useless.
Yeah.
Game number 3 could really be his time to be the zero or the hero.
Yeah, and this is a nice play just totally away from the top lane, where Team Liquid recognizes Froggen has peeled off for blue buff, and the bottom lane is also in a recall pattern, so they just kind of rush the Ocean Drake. The question will be the continuation of this play, because there's a lane swap happening from Echo Fox right now where they're looking to rush down that top lane turret. They know Ocean Drake is down, which means they know they're going to be a little bit ahead on tempo in this play. But when will they show top lane? Because that's when Team Liquid will know they can push hard bottom.
Team Liquid with 3 people down here just need that sight ever so slightly. Ping's coming out. There you go. On the way ping, on top of that tier 1 turret. Liquid saying, let's get it. Let's make this push happen before they can. Gate and Keith will try to shove the wave out as quickly as possible, but I don't see it happening. That turret's already down to 1/4.
Yeah, Looper never gets in range to cast his equalizer, so Team Liquid win on this yet again. Questionable by Echo Fox having the Caitlyn lane and then not getting first turret.
We call it up every single game. We criticize them for it every single game, but Echo Fox, the communication and the coordination, again, the issue for this team. They've got to make sure that they're on the same page and executing properly as a squad. It's just not happening this game. Keith eating a little bit of damage as he takes down that first turret. At least makes those objectives even now, despite the fact that they'll get a bit less money for it. Gold still neck and neck between these two teams as Keith continues to try to shove this wave out. Lourlo taking a slight beating, but he's got help nearby.
Yeah, really like the ward there actually by Echo Fox in the lane. So many people ward that brush, and then you control ward it out when you're trying to sneak your guys up. This will allow them to see exactly where Piglet is. It allows Looper to get some free farm in the bottom lane, and I think that's where Echo Fox's focus is right now, is pretty much just on farming up, hitting Leandries, hitting Trinity Force, getting Caitlyn towards that late game, because I think they feel like they have the edge in the late game.
I mean, look at all the wards placed down by Echo Fox in the top side of the jungle from Team Liquid. You pretty much got this whole path lit up. If anybody was coming towards top side, they were going to see it. Keith lands a couple auto attacks onto Piglet here, who's just really completely unafraid of this Caitlyn. Gate forced to gobble him up, try to get him to safety. The binding comes out, not finding its way onto Keith. Gate instead pops that thick skin, trying to stay alive. Tempered Fate comes out to bind both the turret and his opponents. And now the TP being channeled. ReignOver looking to go for Looper here as Looper is behind enemy lines. Matt and Lourlo trying to catch up. This Rumble is not in a good spot. Equalizer going to be dropped right on top of himself. Looking to turn this one around if he can. Not quite yet. Matt, though, going to be taken down in return. 1 for 1. Froggen makes it happen.
Yeah, Looper, while he was on the run and kind of on his own, did a lot of work. Making them fight him on that Equalizer and Flame Spitter is enough to kill anyone at this point in the game. So he gets everyone extremely low before Froggen can jump in to make that a 1 for 1. So all things considered, not much happens, even though almost all the ultimates are burned.
Right, it looked so chaotic. Everybody was making their way up. There were teleports, there were ults, there were collapses, and then it's 1 death on each side. Yeah,
I thought Matt was going to ult the turret right now.
Yeah.
And then they can just continue to go on to Gate and Keith, but they were making sure that they weren't getting TP collapsed on, and they actually see Looper up there and make the call to back off and not follow in on the first Bard ultimate. Lourlo matches the teleport. Then everyone can just trade Looper down, and Looper has nowhere to run, so I like the Equalizer placement right there. Look at the damage he does. ReignOver, Lourlo, Matt all burned down to about 20% of their health, and Matt takes the wrong way out, runs straight into Froggen.
Yeah, imagine if literally anyone else is there from Echo Fox.
Yeah.
You could quickly turn that into a triple kill. Unfortunate for them that they can't. Looper did his best, but sometimes your best doesn't take the health bars down to 0. It's just not good enough for the NA LCS. 21.8 to 21.7 thousand gold, though. It's not like this game's going anywhere in terms of leads. Neither team able to find that trigger pull that they need to really build something substantial in this third and final game of the series. Warrior Enchantment with the Tracker's Knife versus Runic Echoes with the Tracker's Knife. Both of these junglers making sure they're prioritizing that vision, but still getting their damage-heavy enchantments. We've seen enough Cinder Hulks already, Jatt. It's time to go back to the stuff that makes the plays happen.
Yeah, we will see a bit more action in this game, I think is fairly safe to say. Although we are in an Echo Fox game, they tend to drag them out occasionally. Just waiting to see where Team Liquid goes to make plays, though. The Elise and the Bard, both with mobility boots. All about getting places fast and then making something happen when they are there, since the raw teamfight power of those two boots is very low.
Trinity Force also done on Froggen's Corki, and this item, one of the single most powerful single item spikes in the game. If your champion properly uses all the elements of it, Corki does. So Froggen's the guy to fear. We talked about it in game number 1, where his farm ability, the fact that he's always got so much economy channeled into him, it makes him a huge threat. This game is going to be no exception. Liquid, if they want to maintain themselves in this game, have got to make sure they're playing around that and respecting it.
Absolutely. Here's the Moby Boots kicking in.
There we go. Gate in some trouble. Flashing back over the wall. Not going to commit the same sins as last time. Now can they turn it around? Equalizer drop down. Seeing if they can make these moves. Looper caught up in the Tempered Fate. Can't quite find the rest of the damage. Liquid makes a magical journey towards the exit of the jungle. They will not be punished for going for that kill, and Gate's not going to fall either.
Yeah, get the flash, but it comes at the expense of a lot of time investment. So credit to Gate for flashing right this time, as you mentioned during the fight, even though it did look questionable because he flashed right back into the two people that were chasing him, but it was towards his team, towards safety.
He knew he would get away. He knew he had some thick skin for that gray health, and it all worked out for him. GoldenGlue with that 2-part laser. You gotta love Viktor's wave clear. It's just so satisfying. Swoosh them all away, as Rift Herald is now the target for Echo Fox. Opening up on that eye. Keith will be helping Akaadian take that one down.
Using that brush for a headshot is actually pretty cool. Being able to pull the Rift Herald towards the wall and then having Keith sit there for the headshots speeds it up pretty well. Rift Herald really wants to get that eye. Not able to get it. So I've noticed, I've been trying this. There you go, he finally hits the eye. I've got a pretty good pattern getting the Rift Herald to be able to solo it and get the eye pretty frequently.
Which is?
I'm sure there's going to be a guide out there somewhere, and this could be wrong. But anyway, he does a big wind-up where he will like overswing and kind of turn, and I just straight up auto-attack him until I see that animation, and then I kind of preemptively turn around, and then I get the eye every time after he has that big swing. But I think it's on a timer of how many auto-attacks you use on him. So if you're on a dude with a lot of attack speed, you can do it pretty easily.
That's something I'm going to have to keep an eye out for, because I feel like whenever I try to solo the Rift Herald, sometimes I'll hit the eye, and then other times he just purposely trolls me as Piglet. Going to be in the 1v1 against Froggen, who has to use the Valkyrie to escape here. Matt was coming up, and Froggen knew he wasn't going to be in a good spot if he got caught in the 1 versus 2.
Yeah, now they got to worry about this turret going down as well. Froggen is trying to get all the farm he can, but those Moby Boot dudes, the Elise and the Bard, are making this split push farm pretty difficult for Echo Fox.
Meanwhile, Keith just wants to farm up as much as he can in the mid lane. Echo Fox content just to build up these damage threats, get to the point where maybe you can make a one-shot happen. This is one of my favorite back animations in the game, by the way. I love the Pulsefire Caitlyn skin, and the back animation is no exception just because she gets so many different hats. The first time I saw it, I didn't realize that she changes her hat when she goes through the portal. She has a bunch of different ones. She has a classic Caitlyn hat, she has a Teemo hat, there's all sorts of them.
And is it like randomized depending on the recall?
No, it's just a random recall. Like sometimes when Deep Terror Thresh pulls up a boot or a treasure chest,
hat, and then you get a different hat.
She reaches into the portal to pull out a hat from a certain time zone or place, and it's just random, whichever hat she...
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm really into hat-based skins. I buy skins based on how excited I would be to wear that hat in real life. Caitlyn's got a lot of them.
Fair enough.
A little bit of a tangent there, but we're back into mid lane. Rift Herald is summoned, ramming his headless hat into that mid lane turret. Almost able to take it down. A couple more auto attacks from Keith should do the trick. There we go, turret destroyed. Tempered Fate comes out, only finds its way onto Gate. That's not a target Liquid is comfortable trying to make a setup for. So that everything gets disengaged. Fox grabs the turret.
Yeah, that's all you need out of the Rift Herald. Just get it enough to break through the turret. Teams have gotten better and better at guarding against the charge, but if you group up everyone, and you don't let them free hit it, there's a good chance you're going to get the turret in that lane.
Akaadian over the wall, picking up the red buff.
All right, which hat?
All right, let's watch. Oh, she got a pirate hat that time.
I had no idea.
Yep.
Yeah, today I learned.
Our observers are OP because they knew as soon as Caitlyn was backing, they're like, we got to find that hat.
We got to see which one it is. We're going to track that.
Yep.
So that was a pirate hat.
See which one it shows up more.
Better be different next time or I'll be sorry.
It should be. I mean, if it's not, it's going to make a liar out of me, and I'll feel bad, but not as bad as Piglet. He's getting himself caught out. Akaadian with the kick, with the damage, and that's going to tie this game up 2-2.
Yeah, Piglet all alone down there. Just the Blade of the Ruined King, but a nice pick by Akaadian. The first kill participation he has in the first 19 minutes of this game. But I think that prolongs it in a way that FOX is okay with. They just want to keep scaling up for these items. I feel like Akaadian's going to go Knight's Vow anyway, based on those components, and I feel like Gator did the same thing. So it's going to be the same story. Double Knight's Vow, one on Corki, one on Keith, and just go for it.
Now, the status between Froggen and Keith is the same exact thing in this game as in Game 1. It's Static Shiv Trinity versus Static Shiv Infinity Edge pieces.
Oh,
Froggen
boy.
with the damage onto Matt. ReignOver tries to eat that Scuttle Crab away, does successfully get it through the package damage, but I want to keep an eye on Akaadian and see if he puts that Knight's Vow on.
He better Knight's Vow on the dude who does the most damage. If you're not doing that, you're just irresponsible. But who knows?
Bottom side, third turret going the way of FOX, clearing out that last tier 1 as Looper can burn it down. 199 CS to 168 on Lourlo. This is looking like a repeat performance of what was happening in game number 1. Okay, Here we go again. The gun turns into a gate. A Knight's helmet. How cool is that?
Oh, and then we got to see another one.
Oh, yeah, he cancels it. All right.
Yeah.
So he goes for a Knight helmet, but I think he's
to
just going to be hanging around. I don't think we're going to get to see a third hat. Not quite yet.
This is the most exciting thing about this game to me. Mainly because it's becoming more and more of Game 1, where FOX is just playing the laning phase out, and Team Liquid actually isn't able to find the picks. They have more tools than they did in Game 1 to find picks, but the gold lead is extending kind of in the same way, and I do feel like when they get this double Knight's Vow point, once Gate builds his up, they're going to be really, really strong in the 4v4s. But the big difference is Lourlo should scale to a point where he can 1v1 Looper, and that'll really hurt FOX's split push strat and kind of force him to team fight. Until we get there, though, I just want to see which hat Keith pulls out next.
Yeah, that's kind of half the fun of playing the Pulsefire Caitlyn skin. But the other half
of the fun.
Yeah, that's half of the fun. The other half of the fun is you're playing Caitlyn. That champion's strong. Tempered Fate onto 2. Akaadian and Gate going to be bound up, but a very nice Devour prevents it from being a stun onto both. Gate making sure he's chomping up his ally as soon as that Bard ulti wears off.
Yeah, and that was a pretty good initiation. I was hoping that maybe even GoldenGlue would use Chaos Storm on it, but then, as you say, it would just be onto the Tahm Kench because of the Devour. So pretty much that whole initiation stuffed by FOX.
FOX, that's what Tahm Kench does. The this or that segment that you had with Kobe, what's more
So
annoying?
tilting.
What tilts you harder? Tahm Kench is a good answer.
I don't even remember what the other champion was because Tahm Kench tilts you so hard.
Yeah, it was
no
Zillion.
one cares. Bring someone back to life, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Zillion ulti there, you still end up having both guys stunned up. One of them will die, but Tahm Kench makes sure nobody gets stunned. So very difficult to play against this champion with that save potential. It's exactly why you saw FOX draft it when you have 2 big valuable targets like the Corki and the Caitlyn to save. And now they're seeing if they can find the
great equalizer.
onto multiple people. ReignOver trying to go up into the air with the rappel, looking to get away onto Gate, but he will not do it. Slapped down by the Tahm Kench tongue. As Team Liquid gets away with their solo laners, both in critical condition, their jungler dead, and FOX has sights set towards Baron.
Yeah, and this is, if they had a control ward, would be even better. You got to use that sweeper now, Akaadian, to make sure that ward is gone. It'll make the contest so much more difficult for Team Liquid. But even
they don't
so,
even have ReignOver.
There's no smite, and there's no Bard ult, so they probably get it anyway. Yeah, they do.
As long as Akaadian has this smite ready to go, there should be no problem whatsoever. They do secure it 22 minutes into the game. It's going to cut off early.
It looked like a pirate hat to me.
No, it looked like a cowboy hat to me. It wasn't as deep brown as the pirate hat was. I'm pretty sure that's a different hat.
Okay. Empowered Recall, he should pull the hat faster. The clear flaw on the skin. Yeah. Anyway, Akaadian kicks them on to the equalizer right there, and that was just the equalizer looking at GoldenGlue's health, so the fight is pretty much won by Looper. That's the big difference between the Rumble and the Cannon if they do collapse into a team fight phase. So much more effective, and they're sitting pretty right now in this game.
And this is what happens with those early 20-minute Barons, right? You have a game that looks really close, you grab one of those, all of a sudden everything gets blown wide open. You have the potential to just ram yourselves into the tier 2s. This gold lead could quickly become insurmountable for Team Liquid. It's 4,000 right now. That's nothing to frown at 23 minutes into the game, but it can be so much more in the next 2.5 minutes.
And we got to think, like, how would Team Liquid win one of these team fights? They have to get, I think almost Gate can't be there, or they have to have him CC while they lay the AoE down onto Echo Fox, because other than that, they're just going to be free hitting these turrets. Irresponsible Knight's Vow onto Keith instead of Froggen once again. Hope you watch this back, Akaadian. I'm not happy with your Knight's Vow choice.
Disappointed Jatt. Red turret destroyed there in the mid lane. Echo Fox finding number 4. And by the way, I was informed by production doing detective work behind the scenes. That hat from the Baron Empowered Recall was the Desperado Cassiopeia hat, otherwise known as a cowboy hat. So it was not the kind of stuff worn by a pirate.
So you pretty much have a chance to get any hat. Like,
yeah, there's all kinds
like
of different hats. We still haven't seen the TMO one or the vanilla Caitlyn skin.
All right, fair enough. There's a lot of hats in this game. There's 137 champions, and a lot of them wear hats.
I mean, look at, maybe he'll get Gates' hat.
Yeah, Gnar has a hat, Matt has a hat.
A lot of hats. But there's also a lot of damage coming out from Echo Fox onto this mid lane turret from Team Liquid. The last one standing before the inhibitor itself is exposed. Fox still has another 90 seconds or so to work with this Baron buff, stealing away everything along their way. Froggen's low on mana though, so they decide to get back.
So fast.
Okay, I really want Baron buff to go away just so we can get a look at this. I probably want Baron buff to go away more than Liquid does right now.
Either way. And this is also the difference as we see them running towards Cloud Drake, the difference between a play-by-play and a color caster. I'm worried about like who's going to get Knight's Vow and what are the stat differences and where are the power spikes. And I had no idea I hadn't even thought about how many hats there were in the game up until before this game. But we're clearly focused on different things.
You didn't even know that she pulled different hats out of the portal.
I didn't even know she pulled a hat out of the portal. I never looked at the recall.
I noticed it the other day when I was playing solo queue because I saw her pull out the vanilla Caitlyn skin hat, and I thought, oh, cool, that's a throwback to her initial skin. It's like, oh, look, I'm Caitlyn, but I'm referencing Caitlyn. And the next time she did it, it was a Teemo hat, and I was like, wait a second. Something funky here. It's one of those discoveries. You learn something new in League of Legends every day, even if you've been playing the game for, what, like 8 years now?
Yeah, pretty much. Now there's hundreds of hats.
Yeah.
Never even realized.
The course of history. Keith pushing up here, auto attack after auto attack, traps laid down, just doing what Caitlyn does, being that siege engine for Echo Fox. Yeah, cannon minions themselves also contributing to that effort.
I'm really impressed if Keith wins another game 0-0-0, because that's what happened in game 1 when he was on Tristana, and we are trending dangerously close to that point unless he's actually involved in the big team fight when Team Liquid decides to throw themselves at them, because right now, it is so eerily similar to that first game where they're split pushing all these side lanes, and Team Liquid just doesn't have the ability to pull the trigger on any types of flanks.
Turret goes down mid lane, number 6 for Echo Fox. Keith, very, very strong in this Caitlyn right now. Infinity Edge plus Static Shiv, and Froggen, not exactly a slouch either, with the same thing, but with a BF sword thrown in there too. Yeah,
and in that particular instance, I like having the Knight's Vow on Keith, because since they don't have a cannon, they're using Froggen as the split pusher, so he has no one around him, therefore Knight's Vow would be useless. Plus the items are a little bit closer right now, so good Knight's Vow on Caitlyn.
Both very threatening so far. Here we go. Oh, it's a Knight helmet. We got a repeat. Darn.
Okay, so at least we know if it is truly random, you can get repeats.
Yep.
So
you can get repeats. I told you it was a random hat selection.
I want to know how many hats she could pull from.
I'm sure it's out there on the wiki somewhere. Some guy did a lot of detective work on this over the course of a few hours, just spamming Caitlyn's recall animation. But as for that number, I am not that guy, so I do not know it. Either way, the number I do know is 3 kills versus 2. This game, 5 kills deep, 27 minutes in. Game number 1, I believe, was 4 kills in at 23, 24 minutes. So that count
2 kills to 2
is also very, very close to game number 1. 2,500 gold Baron power play. It's not even that huge of a Baron, if we're being quite honest with ourselves. A lot of the times you see 3,000 and 4,000 gold counts out of those. But this time around, it was just enough to keep Echo Fox going, build that momentum a little bit, and put that crack in the base. Ever so importantly, if they want to fight on that open inhib, they can now.
Yeah, and they are stronger 5v5 too, unless they get flanked by a Mega Gnar, which is what the Rumble has allowed them to have with this team composition. Double static shivs and eye edges. Very soon we'll have that second Knight's Vow onto Gate to really empower them, but they're feeling very confident right now about their chances. And even if that happens, they got Tahm Kench.
Get out of jail free card. Tahm Kench presses W, and everything is fine. Keith gets himself out of trouble, regroups with the rest of the team, and the siege will continue outside this remaining tier 2 for Team Liquid, the last one of these standing outside of the base. Trap line set up though, meaning they're going to have to maneuver around those. Yeah, she just keeps pulling out Knight's helmets.
All right. It's getting old.
That's kind of a buzzkill, I know.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm right there with you.
Speaking of, I wanted to bring something up to you. We cast an Urgot game the other week.
Yeah.
Where we said Urgot has more syllables in his name. Oh, they're going for Piglet.
Uh-oh. Akaadian trying to make that insect play. Instead, won't be able to find it. Quick flash from Piglet stops his plans in their tracks. Previous time Piglet died was from one of those kicks from Akaadian. He was ready for it this time around.
Yeah. I'll get back to it as soon as the action calms down, but I don't think it will. Bardoll comes out. They're waiting for Rumble TP in base. Looper's going to channel this if Team Liquid decide to go all in.
Liquid still hanging around. Tempered Fate not available. Keep it in mind, but Chaos Storm and Fate's Call are both there, as is the Mega Gnar once the Gnar bar is charged. Looper deciding to walk his way towards this fight, so the rest of Echo Fox just waiting for him to get there. Now they can perform the fight normally without the TP if the opportunity arises.
Yeah, Echo Fox doesn't have great engage, but they have very long range, which is one thing they're going to kind of use to try and poke out Team Liquid. And last time, if they just control vision around the Baron buff, then they can lay down the equalizer to cut Team Liquid off. Okay, saved by Gate.
The bindings are on point from Matt. He's been able to catch Keith out a couple of times. The problem is Gate is also on point, always making sure he's right beside whichever carry is doing the poking from the front line.
Baron back up as well. And Froggen has left to split push, so they're losing a little bit of this mid lane priority. This is so much of what has crushed them whenever they try to play around Baron is they give up mid lane, but they have Caitlyn, so Team Liquid can push in regardless of Froggen recall.
Yep, not just Caitlyn, 3-item Caitlyn, the one that can clear away the waves pretty much effortlessly. The crits from the Shiv, along with Piltover Peacemaker itself, make that a very simple task to take care of clearing out that entire wave. Knight's Vow plus Gargoyle Stoneplate done onto Akaadian's Lee Sin, so going for a very tanky approach. Froggen did go back to the base to pick up the package, and this is a signal that Fox should be looking to make something happen.
Yeah, this build from Akaadian is all about getting in there, kicking someone back, pressing the stone plate, and hopefully living to tell the tale. Pretty good combo, I feel like. I do think Locket should still be his next item if he's just going to go for that general build anyway. Gate probably building a Locket next as well, so still eerily similar to that first game we saw between the two teams.
Echo Fox still with package, doing a lot of damage to ReignOver to zone him away. That might be enough to encourage them to potentially start going for Baron here.
Whoa.
Package used just disengaged by Froggen. I don't know how, was the timer that close to 0 there?
Maybe. He also just didn't want to get counterplayed on at all. I mean, have a control on Baron, plus he just took the jungler out, so Froggen almost single-handedly winning the team another Baron.
I mean, they do this so free with all the damage in the composition. We talked about it in the draft. Both of these teams are so heavy-handed when it comes to damage. It's very easy. If you get even a few seconds, take Baron down. Lourlo farming up bottom side. Liquid has to brace themselves for another 3.5 minutes of Baroned up Echo Fox. Last time they broke the base, but they didn't get inhibs. This time they'll look to get even more. And Liquid has to find some sort of a way to hold this line. But it's going to be hard. Viktor's wave clear doesn't work when those melee minions have all that protection.
Yeah, and Keith is going to be able to set up a trap line to also ward off the initiation. This is such a powerful moment for Echo Fox right now. Kind of hitting all their power spikes at the right time. They can even layer Equalizer down. Plus the Bardoll misses. Oh, jeez.
Nowhere near, and Matt is taken down. Keith with the damage he needs, preventing the 0-0-0 finish, but putting his team in an awesome spot to continue to push and continue looking for that win. 3 traps still placed down. Thinking about maybe rotating around, using Baron elsewhere in a split push. GoldenGlue loses half his health to a single auto attack. That is the power of Trinity Force, Shiv, and Infinity Edge on the Corki.
Yeah, Chaos Storm was also down by GoldenGlue as well, so few tools left. Keith actually moved to escort the minion wave really like that. Here they go, trying to break this second inhibitor turret.
All right, 4 versus 5 for Team Liquid for the next 5 seconds at least. Trap still laid down, Lourlo having to jump away. Keith taking a couple of auto attacks from that turret. Akaadian moving up, Equalizer thrown down, zoned away. Team Liquid has to yield this objective, and now the inhibitors are the target for Echo Fox. Gate gonna eat up Looper, keeping him safe, but the damage nearly takes down ReignOver and GoldenGlue. Both hobbling away with barely any HP remaining. Keith happened to back up, knowing his opponents are going to be healing rapidly and moving towards him. They wait for the next wave of minions, thinking about potentially coming back into this TP from Looper. With full HP, he'll be arriving right back into this fight. Stun on the Gate. Gravity Field won't really find anyone, just keeps Keith zoned away for an extra second or two.
They have to be a little careful, but they're still life stealing a little bit as well. Got Warlords on both of the marksmen. Oh, look out, Piglet.
Piglet wants to step up and stop Keith, but he's the one who ends up in some trouble. Gate again, just there with the Devour, making sure Keith doesn't end up in a spot where he's going to be compromised. Tempered Fate comes out, finds its way onto Keith, and remember, Devour was recently used, so this time, Keith has to use his own defense mechanisms. Flash and heal both pop there to make sure he gets away.
Yeah, the inhibitor actually defended, but still only 3 turrets left on the map for Team Liquid, so pretty good job overall staying there, especially since they were never able to get an initiation off. Both GoldenGlue and ReignOver walking away with slivers of health. It was pretty critical, actually, that they didn't die, because that would have been game with the Baron buff being up there. They lived to tell the tale, but it's not a good tale. We got slowly murdered in our base. They're going to need to find a way to get a pick onto someone important that Tahm Kench just can't devour, and that's very tough to do.
This story is not looking like one with a happy ending for Team Liquid. Considering Echo Fox has Baron for another 30 seconds, they're marching down the mid lane. They've got 2 open inhibs to start working on, and Froggen will indeed make quick work of those. Stun up onto Gate. But again, he's just so tanky on the Tahm Kench. Even if they get him low, the thick skin will block that last bit of the burst, provide him a couple of extra seconds of defense and survivability. Froggen going back towards the top side, finish the job they started earlier, 2 lanes down. And this is usually where things go from bad to worse for a team. Froggen pops the cleanse at the moment. Gate pops the Devour, so not quite necessary on the cleanse there.
Yeah.
But better safe than sorry in these situations. Now they move bottom.
Gonna have to play a little more passive after that one, but yeah, 2 inhibitors down means they just cycle. Even without the Baron buff, they're probably okay with this. And Team Liquid's gonna want to find a fight at some point.
They have to.
Yeah, but Gnar wearing down right now, not gonna have it.
Echo Fox, if they get 3 inhibs,
they still have Baron on Akaadian because of the mastery to keep it up for another 30 seconds.
Still pushing this strong. A little bit more damage. They'll be able to break through this last area. And remember, the super minions will be marching down the other 2 lanes. They'll push automatically. Team Liquid has to move and answer them. And when they do, the rest of Fox will push up and put in the remaining 60% of the health on this tier 3 turret. Tempered Fate comes out, only finding its way onto Gate. Redemption being channeled, coming down. Not really going to be finding a lot of that one just yet. Lourlo taking some damage right now as he tries to make his way into the fight. GoldenGlue taken low. Shot blocked by Matt. Ace in the hole won't find its way onto that enemy mid laner, but it does do enough damage overall to the team to make them back up. They have to yield the objective. Froggen goes over the wall, looking to find the kill onto ReignOver, who will land from his rappel, take a lot of damage from the auto attacks, and Froggen says, see you later. 5 versus 4 for Echo Fox. They want to end this game here. Matt at half HP, Lourlo gonna be even lower. Piglet trying to toss Matt into the middle, but he only throws him into depths, waiting Maw. Liquid so very low, trying to defend this, but the damage from Fox is too extreme. They walk out of the fountain, they lose half their health. Echo Fox on the victory march towards the Nexus turrets. Number 1 dropping, Equalizer comes down. Matt forced to flash away, more damage gonna be coming through. Froggen doing again what he's known to do as GoldenGlue looks to defend. Nah, there's no if even involved in this one. Piglet has to try to kite away, but there's no kiting away from that level of damage. GoldenGlue and Lourlo in retreat. They don't even need to kill him, but they'll do it anyway because it looks like fun. The phosphorus bomb will not find its mark onto GoldenGlue. Froggen is spit out into the turret. Gate says, forget your KDA. I'm going to be the MVP. Triple kill for Froggen, and that is game for Echo Fox.
Oh, man, they could have had back-to-back 2-death games. Saying, Gate, please.
He's looking over and she's like, what are you doing?
He could have been death. It gave him the other kill, though. Froggen should be happy for that.
Yeah.
Gate increasing his all-time kill count. That's what people remember. They don't remember how many deaths you have.
Yeah. Plus, our stats people told me when I first came here, they were like, by the way, for all intents and purposes, 0 death and 1 death are the same thing.
For a single-game KDA, yes.
Yeah, and that's
for an all-time KDA, though, it's
that's a good point. For the all-time one, it's going to troll him a little bit, but for the single-game KDA, he's still considered 7-1.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Everything works out.
Yeah, and not quite a perfect game from Echo Fox, but they clearly did have a strategy they were able to play in 2 of the 3 games against Team Liquid. Both these games, 1 and 3, very similar. Froggen out farming in the mid lane. They just try and win the lanes, but in this case, they then knew how to secure the victory, right? They didn't dance around the mid lane, wait for the other team to come up in gold. They were consistently extending their gold lead as the game clock ticked forward and finding good ways of setting up sieges and countering enemy engages, which is really the important thing when you're playing these types of siege compositions.
And it's fun to watch this team evolve like that. Watch them go from a team that just wins early, sputters out a little bit mid lane, has some troubles, to going to an entirely different but yet very coherent game plan. seeing them work together with these double marksmen and a couple of different tanks and using this Knight's Vow strategy to work in a way that they're able to drag the game out, but not in a bad way, right? Sometimes you'll see a game dragged out and it's just because neither team really knows what to do. Other times you see it dragged out because that's the win condition.
Yeah, a lot of times they're just waiting for the items, right? Get the 70 and 80% crit on your marksman, get the Knight's Vows on your support and your jungler, and then you're just this massive unit that's incredibly hard to kill because mini rant on Knight's Vow, I think the item has been busted for a while, so when I see someone run a strategy like this, I'm glad to see them win because I think it's worth it. Knight's Vow with very fed carries not only makes the carries harder to kill, but also makes the guy tankier, because if you're in a team fight and they are dealing damage, it heals the tank, so he then becomes tankier. It's a beautiful item in the way that it works like that, and is very snowbally, especially in the late game. So when they're stalling out for more and more damage and they're taking advantage of the multiplication provided by Vow and the crits, it's a very good strategy. So this is where Echo Fox could kind of use their tendencies that they have for most of the year and actually make it work for them, and it worked very well.
Yeah, you talk about a team that puts all the money on Froggen. Well, when Froggen's wealthy, if you have an item that translates his advantages to yours, you're wealthy too. For a first-hand account on that series, though, let's hear from Zyrene and the Echo Fox bot laner.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, here with Keith from Echo Fox. I have to ask you, after that game one, you were 0-0-0 as your scoreline. Is that a good game for Keith, or is that a bad game for Keith?
Well, I would say it's a good game because I don't have any deaths, right? Maybe people are used to me having deaths, but it feels good for me.
And Freak actually updated his AD carry tier list. You were 9th out of 10th last time. Now you're 10th out of 11 players, so you're still second to last. Is there anything you want to say to Freak about that list?
I just have to say that I really don't care at all what people think of me as an AD carry. It only matters how I play.
Awesome response as well. And man, anyway, I want to ask you about who do you think is the best AD carry right now in the league?
I would say Doublelift and Sneaky are the best right now. But it really doesn't matter because it just matters who plays as a team, who's better, like who can play with your team better. That's what I think.
And so what would it take for you to be in that same category up there at the top and for Keith to be the best? Is it just playing around your team?
It's all about myself for that. I just had to focus on improving, and like I focus on my weaknesses, and playing around my team. That's how I become the best.
All right, well, so far you put up a solid performance today with only a single death as well. And I want to ask you moving forward, final question here, Keith. You're playing Wild Turtle tomorrow. How do you think he's been playing and the impression of FlyQuest overall?
I actually think Wild Turtle is good. It seems like FlyQuest has some issues as a team, and that's why people might think that Turtle is underperforming, but I think otherwise. I think he's a good AD carry.
All right, well, thank you very much for the interview, and congratulations on the win here today, Keith. Keep working on that teamwork, and we'll see you later. All right, we're going to throw it back to the desk there to close out the day.
Thank you very much, Zyrene. Great to hear from Keith in their victory today over Team Liquid. Moving to 4-5, so about at that 500 mark, midway through the split, closing out their first round robin. I love to hear from Keith there in response to the question around the tier list. Don't care where anyone else is. I only care about my play, how I'm performing with my team. And that's, I think, a fantastic mentality, and we're hearing it throughout the entire roster of Echo Fox, right? There's a kind of mentality shift we've seen in Akaadian as well, from being a greedy player to more focused on, hey, I could die a million times in the game, but if I'm servicing my team, I don't care what my KDA is.
And I think this is a good game to kind of point that out. Double Knight's Vow, double AD carry, playing very, very slow. They don't care if people want to watch this League of Legends or something like that. They care about winning. And,
exactly.
And they play pretty much faultless this entire game. I mean, it was 5 kills, 30 minutes in the game or something after they'd taken a Baron or two. They chunked out Elise. I think one of them, they got a kill before they took it, but they chunked out Elise the second time to get another Baron. And that's what it takes to win. You don't need to blow people up in monster engages. If your comp is happy sitting back, putting traps down and whittling away, just do it.
We're not going to complain if you're blowing people up and you're smashing games.
I'm not saying...
because it's fun to watch, but you're exactly right. A win is a win, and however it is easiest for you to get a hold of that victory, that's the strategy that you should employ. And I think that this shows tremendous growth for Echo Fox here. It might be funny that, like, okay, it is only against Team Liquid, and against a better team, maybe the victory doesn't come as easily as it does here in Game 3, but I think the fact that they didn't have to devolve into chaos, that they didn't have to reach for a play that had risk involved to it, almost everything they did here had forethought, and you could tell it was an 80% Echo Fox favored, 20% Team Liquid favored play.
And this is a game that easily could have broken down into a little bit of madness. You saw how much playmaking was available on the side of Team Liquid's comp with Kalista, Bard, Gnar, and Elise. I mean, that can get very, very scrappy. And the fact that they didn't get pulled in that playstyle, they made Team Liquid play their game a very slow, methodical, speaks to their decision making.
But hold up, Mark. We got to talk about the most important part of this entire game.
Of course.
Caitlyn hats. How many can she pull out? How random is it really? Let's find out. We got number 1. We got the Knight's Helm. Boom, boom, boom. That's a good look, too. Number 2, with the Baron recall, so this one's coming quickly.
Catch it.
Oh.
Cowboy hat. Like
cowboy
a little
hat.
slow-mo helping out there.
Slow-mo cowboy hat in the turret recall. The pirate hat coming out here. Hat number 3. Oh,
No,
we only got to see 3 in this
He only
game.
recalled 3
All right,
times?
well, hey, I got some info for Jack, because I know he wants to know. There are 5 hats that Caitlyn can pull out. The other 2 that we didn't see is the pink top hat and the... We talked about this. What was
The
it?
Teemo hat?
The Teemo hat. There you go. The pink top hat and the Teemo hat are the 2 that we didn't get to see in that replay, but there are a total of 5 randomized hats.
So we got to talk about this because we talk about Dragon RNG. Some people are fans of it, some aren't. I'm not a fan of this hat RNG. We saw
no.
2 Knights hats and no pink top hat. That's not happy for me. I want to have fun gameplay experiment.
Where's my balance team? Balance the Caitlyn hat RNG. Either way, no, I don't want to, that's a fun discussion, but I don't want to degrade Echo Fox's victory here because, again, it was a very solid one. They come away with the victory 4 and 5. Froggen will get player of the game, highest damage in the game on that Corki. The double Knights vow, I love to see that out of the squad in terms of supporting both of the ADCs and then also giving their front line the ability to absorb damage, reset for extended sieges.
Yeah, 44% of his team's damage this game. Pretty insane given the fact that you have a Rumble, which usually is topping damage charts. Didn't quite get as many team fights as a Rumble wants to be able to drop a big equalizer.
Yeah, low kill games are not where Rumbles want to be. But.
Yeah, he had one good ult that pushed everyone out of a team fight that got him Baron, but for the most part, it was a lot about setting up near turrets, and while Caitlyn's working on the turret, Corki's working on the people trying to defend it. So huge damage numbers for him.
And finally, I just want to recognize Froggen because we talked so much about Jensen and Bjergsen and those 2 guys being atop the tables and how they're very exciting matchups. And yes, their teams are doing slightly better, and so it's easy to talk about those 2 guys so often. But we cannot forget that Froggen is actually topping the charts in many of these mid lane matchups in terms of CSD, damage share for his team, and the likes.
They don't have quite as many wins on Echo Fox, and obviously Froggen is not finding as many teamfight victories, so
Makes
it's
it
a little
more impressive that his stats are that good.
Right, so his laning stats look, impeccable, and then when you move into the mid-late game, it's hard to shine quite as much as Jensen, who has teammates who are setting up for these monster Orianna shockwaves and things like that. Froggen, on the Corki this time around, did find his own openings a fair amount. He had that Valkyrie into the base that picked off ReignOver towards the end of the game, make it a little bit easier to close out.
Anyway, at the end of the day, I think Echo Fox should be very happy, especially with this 3rd game to close out the series, making it look very clean out of them. We'll see if they continue to improve throughout the rest of the summer split. That's going to wrap up the day, so let's go ahead and take a look at the standings. Despite their loss today, Immortals remain in 1st place, but now they share it once again with Counterlogic Gaming. TSM end their week before Rift Rivals in 3rd, while Echo Fox promote up to 6th with their win today. We'll see who else can make a climb before the weekend closes out. Tomorrow on NA LCS 1, Immortals return to the stage opposite Phoenix 1, followed by Team Envy versus Team Dignitas in the Battle Arena. If you're watching on NA LCS 2, your day starts with FlyQuest versus Echo Fox, then Team Liquid take to the Battle Theatre opposite Counterlogic Gaming. So, of course, a couple of our Rift Rival teams are shooting off over to Europe tonight, but tomorrow's matchups still mean plenty in terms of the regular season standings. What's one that you're looking at?
I kind of like CLG Team Liquid just for the fact that CLG is a little bit erratic in their play, and sometimes they look amazing, and sometimes they look like they're a little bit of a struggle. We saw how much prep work it felt like they put into that C9 series with the nice drafting and some of this creative level 1.
Did they put as much prep into Team Liquid?
That's what I'm going to see, is if they kind of play down to the level of their opponent, maybe a bit of a hangover game for them.
All right, well, there's some thoughts on tomorrow's matchups, but that's going to do it for us tonight. So for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more North American LCS. Good night.